In this video, we are going to explain the Leibenstein's critical minimum effort thesis. Harvey Leibenstein has propounded his theory of critical minimum effort in an attempt to provide a solution to the problem of developing economies. The problem of vicious circle of poverty causes an environment of inertia in developing economies. Minimum effort is needed to overcome this inertia. We explained his thesis under the following headings. So this Leibenstein theory propounds the need for a minimum effort in an attempt to provide a solution to the problem of developing economies. That means we must invest a sufficiently large volume of money in the economy. Then only the developing economies can be taken out of what is called vicious circle of poverty. This is an important problem in developing economies. So to get out of the problem of vicious circle of poverty, we need a big amount of investment, critical minimum effort of investment. Then only the developing economies can get out of what is normally called the vicious circle of poverty. And we explain this model under the following headings. First, we need to distinguish between two important things. One is shocks and the other is stimulants. There are two forces in every economy, shocks and stimulants. What are shocks? Shocks refer to those forces which tend to reduce output, income, and employment. Therefore, shocks are known as income depressing forces. But on the other hand, stimulants are those forces which encourage development. So stimulants always increase output, income, and employment. Therefore, stimulants are known as income generating forces. In short, in every economy, there are two forces at work. One is income depressing forces, which are known as shocks, and second is income generating forces, which are known as stimulants. So these two things are very important in Leibenstein's theory. Then he says an economy is said to be underdeveloped if the impact of shocks, if this is much stronger than stimulants, then the economy will become underdeveloped. So for the economy to develop, we need stimulants to be higher. Stimulants must be higher than shocks. Then only the economy will be developed. So according to Leibenstein's theory, an economy is said to be underdeveloped if the impact of shocks is greater than that of stimulants. Explanation of the theory. Shocks depress the development while stimulants encourage it. We know this. Shocks depress the development. Shocks reduce income, output, employment. But stimulants always encourage income, output, and employment. Generally, the impact of shocks is stronger than the stimulants in developing economies. Therefore, minimum effort are required to lift the economy from underdevelopment. The following figure explains the role of this critical minimum effort. So in a developing economy, impact of shock is stronger than the stimulants. Therefore, a minimum effort are required to lift the economy from underdevelopment. We explain this fact with the help of the figure. Now let us look at the figure. This figure we will explain in each and every slide that will come after this. And looking at this figure, you see that along the x-axis we show the per capita income and induced income growth. Induced income growth, that's a growth. Induced income growth and per capita income. That these are shown along the horizontal axis, x-axis. So x-axis clearly shows per capita income and induced income growth. But the vertical axis shows also per capita income, but there is a difference. Induced income declines. That means depressing income decline. That is shown along this axis, the vertical axis or y-axis, but along the x-axis or horizontal axis, we are showing per capita income and induced income growth. So here induced income growth, and here means depressing or income depressing factors, or per capita income and income declines. These are shown on along the vertical axis. Now, horizontal axis, this is repetition. Horizontal axis shows per capita income and stimulants. So this is stimulant, okay? And vertical axis shows shocks. So here we are showing shocks and per capita income. Here stimulants and per capita income. Now, XT, this XT is this one. XT, this curve, XT. So what does this XT show? This is an income generating curve. So XT, if you are on this curve, XT, that will generate income. But ZT, there is another line that shows income depressing. So this is income depressing curve, but this is income generating curve. XT is income generating curve, and ZT is the income depressing curve. Now the 45, there is a 45-degree line. There's a 45-degree line. And this 45-degree line measures induced increases and decreases in per capita income. So both increases and decreases in per capita income will be measured along this line, 45-degree line. And if we start from the point E, this is a point E. Okay, E is the initial point of equilibrium. This is the initial point of equilibrium. And why is it called the initial point of equilibrium? But because at this point, shock is equal to stimulant. Shock is equal to stimulants, because at this point, ZT curve is the income depressing curve. XT is the income generating curve. So both these two curves intersect at point E. So we say that at point E, there is an equilibrium because shocks are just equal to stimulants. At point E, shocks are just equal to stimulant. So we have an equilibrium there. So E is the initial point of equilibrium as the two forces are in balance. Okay, let us suppose that stimulants rise per capita income. Stimulants rise per capita income from OE to OM. So here our income is OE. Now the income is OE because we are at point E. And at point E, our income is E, small letter E. OE is the level of income. Now we increase the per capita income from OE to OM. OE to OM. Okay, what happens then? So now we raise, let us suppose that stimulants raise the per capita income from level OE to OM. So we increase the per capita income along this line, XT line. Because XT line is the income growth line or income generating line, that is XT. So now we raise the per capita income from OE to OM. So now we are here at point small letter E. Let us suppose that stimulants raise per capita income from the level OE to OM. Now, the income generating forces will raise per capita income by NA. So income generating forces increases per capita income by NA. So per capita income is raised by NA. But the income depressing forces will reduce income by FB. These income depressing forces that reduces income by FB. Because at this point, if you look at this point, you can see that the income depressing line, this ZT line, lies to the right of this income generating line. That means at this point, the depressing factor or shocks are higher than stimulants. There is an imbalance here because here shocks are, you can see this, here shocks are high. Shocks are high compared to the stimulant. Stimulant only comes to this position. stimulants only comes to this position, but shocks are higher. So what happens is that because of the increasing strength of the shocks, naturally there will be a decline in income from A to B, and from B to C, and from C to D, and from D to this point, and ultimately it will come to this E point. That means although stimulant factors increase the level of per capita income from OE to OM, as a result of the disequilibrium between the stimulant factors and the shocks factors, because at this point shocks are more compared to the stimulants, the economy has again returned into the earlier low equilibrium point of E because of the increasing strength of the shocks compared to the stimulants. What has naturally happened is that the economy has been brought back to the earlier position of E. So now you can see the path down, that means lower path. You can see from A, we will move down, economy will move down to B, and from B, economy will move to C, and from C to D, and ultimately it will come to E. So this will generate the downward path A, B, C, D. This is a downward path A, B, C, D. This one A, B, C, D. Okay, until it reaches the equilibrium point E, and this means that the investment that raises income from OE to OM is insufficient. So it means that the increase in income from OE to OM is insufficient. And to raise the income from OE to OM, we have made some investment. So it does mean that the investment which the economy has made to increase the income from OE to OM seems insufficient. Insufficient in the sense that it has not taken the economy out of the vicious circle of poverty. Rather, it has actually brought the economy back again to the earlier low-level equilibrium position of E. That means the investment which the economy has made to make an increase in per capita income from OE to OM does not seem to be sufficient. It is insufficient. Now, therefore, it is only when the investment rises the per capita income to OK. So let's suppose that we are increasing the per capita income from OE to OK. We are bringing the per capita income to this level. And you must bear in mind that to increase the per capita income from OK, the economy might have made a lot of investment. So therefore, the increase in investment that raises per capita income from OE to OK is a self-sustained growth path. Self-sustained growth path. Why is it called a self-sustained growth path? Because OK level of per capita income will raise the income level to SG. Suppose that the income level has been raised to SG. This much increase is there, which will generate the path of expansion of per capita, as shown by the arrows rising above G. So here, when you increase the per capita income from OE to OK, actually we come to this point G. Look at the point G. At point G, there is an equilibrium between shocks and stimulants, because the income generating curve XT or stimulants, that is just equal to the shocks. That means we have reached an equilibrium position again at point G. So if you make an investment sufficient to raise the per capita income from OE to OK, then directly we will move from point E to G. So if you do that kind of investment, so as to raise the per capita income of the country from OE to OK, that much investment is called the critical minimum investment or critical minimum effort. Critical minimum effort the country is said to have taken to raise its per capita income from OE to OK, and G is the next point of equilibrium where shocks are again equal to the stimulants. Now, in short, the investment level that raises per capita income to OK and beyond point G is a critical minimum effort case. So investment that raises per capita income from OE to OK is sufficient. It is sufficient, but it is insufficient. OM is insufficient, but OK level of per capita income being made by the volume of investment, that is a sufficient level of investment. So that's why the economy has reached the point G, and point G is called the critical minimum effort case, but that's a point to where the economy has reached as a result of a critical minimum effort on its part in respect of increasing the investment. Okay, after G, what happens? We are moving further and further. That means after G, you can see that our income generating force, that is XT curve, income generating force XT curve, or stimulant curve XT curve, that lies to the right of the ZT. Okay, because it does mean that after point G, shocks are less than the stimulants. So the economy has been brought to an income generating path or sustainable path. That's a message which this theory is passing to us. So definitely we need an increase in the level of investment so as to raise the economy from a per capita income level of OE to OK, which is sufficient. OK level of per capita income and the investment that has caused the per capita income to raise OK, that is said to be the sufficient level of investment, and that is said to be sufficient to bring the economy to a critical minimum case from where the economy will grow further without any disturbances. And from G upward, you can see that the growth stimulant factors are higher than the growth depressing factors, or shocks are less, but stimulants are high after G. Now, let us come to the size of the minimum effort. The critical minimum effort need not be made in a single stroke. It can be split into a series of similar efforts, provided those are optimally timed. So you need not made this investment in a single stroke, but see in a series of smaller efforts, you can make it. But remember that you must make it at an optimally timed situations. Or if your investments are optimally timed at the correct time, or means timed at the exact moment, then that is sufficient. So the size of the minimum effort that need not be given in a one stroke, in a single stroke. You can make a splitted smaller efforts of investment in the economy, provided such investments are optimally timed. And this can be explained with the help of this figure. See that in this figure, along the horizontal axis, we show the time, and along the vertical axis, we show the per capita income. Now, this is illustrated in the following figure where the line EE represents. So here line EE is there. It represents the lower per capita income level. So this is a lower per capita income level line. And there is a line MM. This is a higher per capita income level, or critical per capita income level. So MM is the critical minimum per capita income level, and EE is the low per capita income line. Now, the line EE represents the low per capita income level, and MM is the critical level of per capita. Okay, the gap between the two means between MM line and EE line. The gap between the two is divided into area 1. This is area 1. Area 1 and area 2. This is area 2. And beyond this, area 3. Okay, we have an area 1. This is area 1 in between FF and EE. That's the area 1. Between FF line and MM, that is area 2. And between M and beyond MM, that is area 3. So the area 3 above MM is of self-sustained growth. This is a self-sustained growth area. Okay, so the gap between the two is divided into area 1 and area 2. The area 3 above MM is of sustained growth. And if OE is the per capita incomes to start with, suppose we start from per capita income OA. Suppose here we start from the per capita income OA. The initial injection of of investment would rise per capita income to OB. So we initially increased the per capita investment as a result of the initial injection of investment. We do some investment initially, and with the help of that investment, the per capita income rises to OB. Suppose that now we are here. Now, then at time t, at time t means when the time comes to this point, time t, the second injection of investment would raise the per capita income level by CD. Now we are increasing. So now here we are initially here from OA, we have increased the level of per capita income to B, and from time 0 or O to T, the income increases. But when it comes to T, at time T, we have again made an increase in investment. As a result, what happens? The per capita income rises by CD, so that the critical minimum level is reached. So we increase the per capita income, and critical minimum of means a level is reached. So now we are here at point D. So we have reached the critical minimum level. If the investment is not optimally timed, suppose that investment is not optimally timed, the per capita income would follow the CY path. So that means if we do not make an investment at time T, suppose that we do not make an investment at time T, then what would happen is that the income growth would go like this. It would decline. That is why it is written here, if the investment is not optimally timed, the per capita income would follow the CY path. This is a CY path toward the low level equilibrium EE. So what does it mean? If the country does not make an investment, a second stroke of investment, if it does not give at time T, then the income would be lowered. It would start declining from C to Y. Ultimately, it will reach the line EE. It will come to this point E. That means the message from this explanation is that at time T, we need to give the second installment of investment, so that the economy is taken from C to D, the point C to D. And if you do not make an investment at C, the economy will move down and it will ultimately go to the low per capita income path of EE. Now we will come to the relationship between population and per capita income. The motivation theory of population growth propounded by Leibenstein explains that population growth is an increasing function of per capita income up to a certain level of income. Thereafter, it is decreasing function of per capita income because of high cost of rearing a family. The following figure illustrates the relationship between population growth and per capita income. Look at this figure. The curve P indicates the population growth rate. This is a population growth line, and N indicates the per capita income. Point A, here this is a point A, represents a subsistence equilibrium point where the population growth and national income growth rate are equal. So at this point, the population growth rate and national growth rate are equal. When the per capita income rises to YB, let's suppose that per capita income increases to YB, we come to this point. The population growth rate is 1%. Here the population growth rate is 1%. While the income growth rate is less than 1%. Population growth rate is 1% because this point B lies on this population growth curve. But here the income growth rate is less. Income growth rate is only this much. Population growth rate is higher. Income growth rate is less. Let us say this is 0.3. So income growth rate is 0.3 only, but population growth rate is 1%. Now at the level YC, let's suppose that we come to the level YC. YC, what happens? At YC, again, the population growth rate is 2%, and the income growth rate is just 1%. At YC, the level of per capita income, the rate of population growth rate is higher than the rate of national income. Further, increase in population increases national income more than the rate of population growth. Finally, at point come to E, suppose we come to point E, we reach a biologically determined growth rate of population, because at point E, the population growth rate just equals to just becomes equal to national income growth rate. Therefore, Y is the critical minimum per capita income level, which can generate the process of sustained economic development, because at point YE, or this point E, what we see is that the population growth rate is just equal to national income growth rate. Critical appraisal. Relation between per capita income and population growth rate is not a simple thing as claimed by the thesis. Growth of population is also influenced by other factors such as social attitudes. The thesis ignores the role of state in tackling the problem of population growth rate. And Leibenstein argues that when the growth rate of national income exceeds the population growth rate of 3%, the process of endless expansion begins. This is incorrect according to critics. And critical minimum effort thesis illustrates a set of timeless expansion. Therefore, the thesis is criticized on the ground that it ignores the time element. This theory does not explain the influence of foreign capital and other external forces on the level of income and investment in developing economies. Thank you.